broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, After Buzzers, and welcome to America's Next Top Model, the Elimination episode, Week 8. Woo! I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey. Joining me today is... You out there, Matthew?
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Smith from Week 8. No, I was just messing with you. America's Next Top Model, Week 8, eliminated contestant for this week was Matthew Smith. So one of the Smith boys has gone home. And
Damn.
Last week, me and Mike had this prediction, and we nailed it. And I think it just has something to do with the flow of the show. Actually, obviously not a knock on you. I think we just kind of figured the flow of the show out and see how the energy was just kind of waving through the house, kind of sort of. How did you feel? Because you even kind of said it yourself.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it. I think you nailed you've said it better than anyone else has heard. It's the energy of the house, and I was definitely kind of coasting. And I always say that your biggest competitor is yourself. And last week, I definitely fell short for myself, you know.
Right.
I definitely have done better, and the energy was weighing down and dying on my end, and then the photo just didn't come out the way I'd hoped, and so here I am. Yeah,
I mean, what did it feel like to actually, you guys got, you guys did this like thing for this shoot for Nylon Magazine, and you guys got placed in these groups for the spread or the shoot was going to be for Kelly Catrone's the launch of her fashion line, which is kind of great and works out for her because she has all these gorgeous models at her fingertips right there from the show, right? It's a great plug and everything. So I'm like, okay, so they place you like everybody's in charge of their own group with their own theme, and Keith was the head of the Adam and Shy group, and then you were in charge of Rayleigh and Will, and Mariana was heading up Denzel and Lennox, and you were team. What team? What was your guys' theme?
Love, I believe.
Okay, so you guys were Love. I think I'm not sure. I think Keith, Shy, and Adam has something to do with the military or something like that. Army.
They're Army.
Yeah.
I think it was like Fierce Love in an Army or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to go with how did you feel that, you actually led your team with Will and Rayleigh?
Well, they actually, they let us choose they said, who wants to volunteer to be a captain? And I've produced a lot of photo shoots. The shoot with for Fantastics Mag with myself, Ben, and Kari.
Okay.
I produced that shoot. So
nice.
I've done that a lot, and so I felt pretty confident to step up and be in charge of one group, and then we were able to kind of pick our teams as well. And so I picked Will and Rayleigh, which I definitely had an advantage having my team be the 3 tallest people in the house.
Yeah.
So I was definitely confident about that, and Will always brings it. Rayleigh always brings it, and so I thought off the bat, I thought I had it in the bag. It's just that the timing, we had 30 minutes to do hair and makeup, come up with a concept, tell the photographer what we wanted, how we wanted the lighting to be. Then we had to pick out different looks, different outfits, and then all have it relate to our theme of love. So it was kind of a madhouse, but I think we pulled it out in the end, and I was definitely happy with our image.
Yeah.
Keith, Shy, and Adam's photo is just perfect. I think any photo would be hard to beat what they came up with. like Kelly said, it was the first time she got chills ever in the show. So that speaks to how great their photo was. And it just didn't pull out in the end. But I think, as we were close runner-up, and although I hate second place, I think that it was fair, and it turned out how it should have. I
got to be honest. I feel like if it was for any other magazine, and there, there's other factors to consider, like the what the shoot is for, the clothing line that's being marketed. But I really, just as an ad, I liked your picture better, the one that you guys ended up with. You were kind of looking off, and then you have Will and Raylia kind of looking in the camera, and it was a close-up of you guys. I really liked that shot. But
thanks,
I can see, basically how they basically just kind of edged you out, just barely, based on what it was for. But just as a picture for an ad, I would have picked your picture just in general for over a general competition just between those two.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put it in my pocket. It still feels good. You know what? Thaddeus said that he liked our photo better, so ha.
Right.
I'm going to text Keith after this. Hey, Keith, guess what? Thaddeus thought your photo sucked.
You know what's funny? Kelly also said that she didn't think Shy photographed well.
Yeah, that was actually...
and I was like, wow. Well, really?
Yeah, we didn't, because obviously we didn't hear her say that.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I had seen that. And that kind of gives some insight to what maybe the judges are thinking right now.
I mean, for me, for a lot of us viewers, we obviously love Shy, and we like what she brings to the camera. So it's kind of interesting, the perspective that one of the judges has, and that she said that. It was like a club that hit me upside the head. Like, really? That was very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, Kelly is kind of a tough cookie, and she doesn't give a whole lot of compliments.
Right.
But, so, it doesn't surprise me that she would say that. But I'm sure it's not the first time she had mentioned that before. I think that, but let's also think about it this way: like, they flow the energy in the house and the competition. Clearly, it shows that the judges think that Shy has some room to really grow.
You're right.
So that's a good thing. Maybe they're keeping her around because they know that what she is capable of is even better than what we've seen already, which is really good.
Right. She definitely has talent in front of the camera. What I'm interested in talking about also is this scenario with Denzel and Lennox, with Denzel in this body oil situation. Like,
oh my God!
Like, dude, that was like
so much worse in person. It was so much worse.
I bet
it was like awkward, man. Like, on the show, she screamed and like freaked out. In person, like, she was losing it, like, for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was not. I mean, I promise you one thing: I will never, ever disobey Kelly Cutrone. I would. We were all just like looking over, taking a minute to just observe how bad Denzel was getting it, how he never wanted to be in his shoes. I mean, it was just so awkward. And Denzel didn't mean to be rude or like not listen. He was just so wrapped up in the fact that we had 30 minutes to pull off like all this crazy shoot. And Denzel knows he's kind of headhunted. He didn't get along good with Will last week.
Right.
I mean, he was probably just in the zone. And then Kelly freaks out.
Yeah.
And it's her clothing. And she was like, she said probably 100 times, like, this is my clothing. I am so proud of this. Do not ruin the clothes, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so when she saw Denzel try and put a shirt on with oil, you can imagine, like, Satan was out of the box, and Denzel had to deal with it.
Yo, what's funny about that whole situation is I always, Kelly is harsh. She can be a little rigid, but I've always been rigid as a viewer on her just for being so harsh. So, but on this particular situation, I feel her. You're designer, and this is your baby. This comes from, and you understand, you're a designer as well. So you understand what it's like to, okay, like, I'm gonna actually market and shoot something with my creations. You want it to be exactly what you envision, and I think that he should have been more sensitive to her. For one, she's a judge, duh. Secondly, it's her shoot and it's her line. So how can
And she
you
was
not
giving us,
take her direction?
She was giving us the power to like come up with our own concepts. So she was actually being very vulnerable.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, she definitely had. I would agree with you 100%. You know, and those were her samples.
Exactly.
So they were not like she didn't have a bunch of them either. So if she ruined it, it was ruined.
Yeah, I when he was ended up on the in front of the, what do you call it, the backdrop, and, you know, to do the shoot, and he's still sitting there with no shirt on and body oil all over, and she starts losing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, are you serious? You still didn't go to hair and makeup like she told you to, like, from the jump, and you're over here like doing your own thing? It's like somebody, if you don't know the person, that could be taken as a clear sign of disrespect. I don't know how Kelly took it. Hopefully she just thought that, you know, Denzel got wrapped up into the moment or whatever and forgot. But that could easily be portrayed as a sign of disrespect, that you're not paying attention to somebody.
Their photos, it was, let me start by saying I love Denzel, I love Lennox, I love Mariana. But, yo, that entire photo shoot was such a wreck. Well, I mean, everything about it was just like bad, and worse.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help that Denzel and Mariana have this thing going on of whatever it is. So obviously that's going to throw their chemistry off or whatever. But what I think a lot of the viewers probably are annoyed to a certain degree that the rest of the house is so absorbed with what's going on with Mariana and Denzel. Like, why does the rest of the cast care so much? If it's something that's actually hindering them from performing, is part of the competition, so oh well, that's on them. Why do you?
Yeah,
what is the thing that's bugging everybody so much?
I never really got wrapped up into that. I kind of, be honest, I was like, I kind of had more the way you're saying. Like, I kind of agreed more with your perspective. You know, that was their biggest distraction. So like. And it's their choice. It's their choice who they like and don't like.
Right.
So I just stayed out of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I didn't feed into it at all. I didn't have an opinion. I think Lennox is just like, she's just the way she is. She's very endearing, and she just cares, and she has a soft spot. I mean, okay, for instance, Raylia smashed a spider in the house, and Lennox, literally, the fury in her eyeballs. She wanted to kill Raylia for killing this bug. That's just how Lennox is. So when Mariana is getting kind of like bashed on a little bit without her being around, I wouldn't even say bashed. I would just say Denzel was just being a man about it, and Mariana was expecting them to be in love. And so Lennox just took it amongst herself to go and like tell Mariana. And we had all told Lennox, like, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing when she's throwing a chair on the ground.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing when she's screaming and laughing to Denzel tickling her.
Right.
And I honestly, as a competitor, I was like, okay, so this is distracting Mariana and Denzel. Good. And then I was like, and now it's starting to distract the other castmates. Still kind of good for me, right? Like, I don't really. It was the competition, and I don't know why they got so wrapped up to it. And I can agree with you. I think it's kind of annoying. I didn't really see it that way in the house. I know Will was sick of it just because Will and Denzel had some stuff going on.
Yeah.
And Lennox felt like she was the other young. Lennox and Mariana were also the closest in age. They're both 18.
Right.
So I think that Lennox could relate to Mariana in the fact that, like, okay, we're young and maybe we're not as, experienced as Denzel or the older castmates, so it is a little unfair for them to be doing this. But it should never have gotten to where it did. I think it was silly, and just like how Denzel said, Mariana still has a boyfriend up to this point.
Right, and since Lennox wants to be high and mighty, does she feel like compelled to take it upon herself to contact Mariana's boyfriend back home and tell him what she's doing? On top of it, because you can cut this. This could be cut so many different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many conversations I had with Mariana about okay, I'm a man. Like, and so as a man, you respect other men who have a girlfriend that are like, that's not around.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I was like, man, fuck around with Denzel all you want, or like whatever, but have the decency to like tell your boyfriend that he can like go do his thing too. You know what I mean? Like, don't drag him along through this. But Mariana's a good-hearted girl. She never means anything bad by her actions. I just think that just came from a lack of experience and growth. She is 18. But, yeah, it was like, there was so much of that I was just shaking my head, just like, this is so knotted right now.
Right. This is one of those times when I want Ryan Seacrest to get involved and get do a Ryan's Roses with this whole situation. Call Mariana and be like, who you want to send your roses to? And then the boyfriend is like, yeah, you're gonna send them to this guy Denzel from the show. You're not gonna send them to me. That's rude.
Mariana would be like, well, I want to give 3 roses to my boyfriend back home for promoting me on social media. I'm going to give 3 roses to Denzel for keeping me warm at night, and then I'm going to give 2 roses.
Right. She would like be like so strategic about it, right?
She'd be splitting them up. Like,
she is a smart cookie.
For what they're doing.
she is a smart cookie. Do you think part of her?
It would be a lot more witty if she wasn't being filmed the whole time. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
This is all in the DL.
That's true. That's true. Do you think part of her being upset is ego because she doesn't want to look like the one that's like falling in love, and then Denzel's just over here like, yeah, I'm just, like playing it to the, blah, blah, blah. Do you feel like that's part of it, or do you feel like she's really falling in love and that's all for TV? Or it's hard to say. You don't want to speculate on what somebody else feels.
No, I think it's real. I mean, Denzel and Mariana, they rekindled that a little bit at the premiere party we had in LA. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say that it was for TV. I think that the chemistry is real.
Okay.
But I think, like, all of the things that you hear Mariana say, and you're just like, what? Like, where she's like, I think I may love Denzel. And then she's like, oh, my God, that sounded so bad.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't come from her being entertaining for TV, because Mariana's not, like, fake like that. She just does what she feels.
Yeah.
That just comes from being young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all it is. She's just young and naive.
Right.
So.
Denzel's
the other way around. He's like, I'm not going to date you unless I'm trying to get married to you. And I think that's why she could relate with him, because she knew he wasn't going to lie to her about it. He would just be like, no, this is like what it is. I think she appreciated that.
Well, it's kind of weird because, earlier on he said that if he saw Mariana on the street away from that setting, then he probably wouldn't take her seriously or date her or do anything. So
yeah, but
now,
he told her that too, man.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, just as long as he's keeping it real with her, whatever, that's fine. It's just a matter of kind of trying to navigate through the situation. I just think, this is not a normal romantic scenario. So obviously
no.
There's going to be a lot of give and take, and you got to cut them some slack as far as how they handle the situation. You don't know what's going on, who's saying what. You're doing, you're in a house with no TV, no phones, no anything, right? You're like cut off from the world. It's like being on an island, deserted island. For all you know, it's like, well, this could be the last anything that I ever get, right? Almost kind of sort of.
Yeah,
because it kind of feels like that.
Another reason why some people were frustrated from their romance in the house, because everyone else is like sexually frustrated, and like you're outside and you hear Denzel and Mariana from like the opposite bedroom of the home, loving on each other, and she's just like, man, what the hell? Like, shut up, please,
right.
God. So I think that is another reason why I added to the, just the aggravation, because you're sitting here like, I want some, and no one's here. I've got, I don't have a romantic connection with anybody, and Mariana and Denzel are just like boasting about it. But
was there like a romantic, was there any kind of chemistry with anybody else besides Keith and Kari that we all were aware of and knew about?
Shy and Adam, they definitely like had their moments.
Okay. I think they kind of touched upon it so far. They touched upon like maybe a little. They hinted to it. Yeah.
They both had a little yellow spot in their heart for each other, I think.
You're crazy. Okay, so let's jump to the actual shoot real quick. The shoot was with Corey Wade Hindorf from Cycle 20, and they did this whole like robotic, futuristic. Corey was this androgynous robot, and I think they shaved his ears off in all the pictures, didn't they? It was like.
Yeah,
it was like weird.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, what's wrong with his head? And then I like looked at it twice.
Right, because you don't have because you're just, what's the word? Androgynous?
Androgynous, yeah.
If you're androgynous,
Right.
you can't have earlobes? What does that mean? Like,
Right.
why would he
I
not
don't
have
know.
ears?
I don't know. Maybe it's not the same as Adam's apple or anything. It's different, totally different. Ears are ears. Are there feminine ears? Are there female ears? Or male ears? I don't know. Maybe there are.
I guess
Who
the
knows?
future people don't like ears on our androgynous robots.
Well, I guess robots don't need ears to hear either.
I guess not, but even then they wouldn't need skin on their face.
Right.
So we could get real crazy with this and just throw an Obi-Wan Kenobi in the photos. I think that was it.
Exactly. With this shoot, there were some very interesting pictures. I really didn't think that your picture was really. I think there were a couple worse pictures, to be quite honest. But it was actually a good shoot. Corey actually added to the shoot. I think this dude is just a student of the game. He was my favorite last season. So I'm a big fan of Corey's, and for him to do this shoot would actually enhance somebody that's really good, or make somebody not look good who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean?
You can easily have outshined someone.
Yeah. So Lennox wins 3 weeks in a row for her picture.
Yeah, after getting the only one ever, right? She would have gotten a 0.
Right.
So she goes from being saved by Romeo the witch headbutting Adam.
Right.
So Lennox goes from being spared due
Right.
to Romeo's mistake, and then goes to win 3 weeks in a row. At this point in the competition, I was like scared. I had a little powwow with the rest of the cast, and I was like, all right, guys, I think Lennox may have us all tricked right now. She may seem like the innocent, lovey, little, pure-hearted girl, but then she goes on the photo shoots and turns into this, goddess. I mean, I will not argue. I think her photos were the best by far the last 3 weeks. I mean, it's like a landslide. I'm not arguing with that she shouldn't have won. I'm saying that, I was a little bit concerned. She may have had the whole house fooled,
Yeah.
Kind of staying low key and waiting for the camera to turn on and then turning into, these photos.
Yeah, so she might be hustling everybody.
Yeah. I pulled everyone aside. I was like, anybody have some information on Lennox that we can, pull out and try and put this together? Because the girl I know is not the girl I see on the TV best photo every day.
Well, she obviously has a passion for the art of modeling, and so when she gets in that zone, then maybe that's just that switch flips, and she's just in a zone and doing her thing. There's a lot of performers that are like that.
Yeah, well, like Beyonce and all that say that their show person's different. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Lennox was like, I'm not sexy, I can't do the sexy thing, and I pulled her aside and I took her to the TV. And I was like, you see this photo, Lennox? And she goes, yeah. I was like, that's the sexiest girl in this house. This image is sex.
Right.
So you thinking you're not sexy is so false.
Right. Just do you, Lennox. Just do you.
Yeah. I pulled Adam and Ben aside. I was like, where's the girl on this TV screen? Because I want to ask her on a date. I haven't seen her around the house, though.
Right.
We played a big joke about, Lennox photo wasn't the Lennox in the house.
Yeah. Just for me, I liked Raylea's photo. I think Shy had a decent photo. Lennox obviously had an amazing photo. Will had a really dope photo. The ones that struggled for me were Denzel's photo, the pose. It was a little commercial campaigny a little bit. It still could have been used. Keith's, I was like, something about Keith's wasn't really quite on point for me, and Mariana was okay because she got away with a lot with her face. Adams, the pose, his face was great, but the pose was awkward. So
yeah, I thought so too. It kind of looked like his neck was broken a little bit.
Right. It was like really. It was he looked uncomfortable. The pose looked pose was uncomfortable. He looked uncomfortable, and it just wasn't the greatest pose for him. As far as yours is concerned, I felt like yours was kind of like the middle of the road. Was it amongst the bottom? Not even close. I feel like it was more like along the middle of the road So it was kind of shocking. Well, it wasn't really shocking. Like I said, me and Mike last week were like, well, just based on how the energy is flowing through the house, you know, you got to remember, although this is a competition, this is also a show. So,
right.
you know, then you got other things that factor in, like social media scores and whatnot. So these kinds of...
and, you know, there's a lot of things factored in. I mean, the judges are also very aware of, like, who is growing and who is kind of going backwards.
Yeah.
You know, they're also aware of the drama in the house. Like you said, it's a TV show. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. You know what I mean? And you know, people are like, well, this is a model show. Yeah, it is a model show, but there's so much more to modeling than your images too.
You're right.
You know, it's the way you carry yourself. You know, how you treat people around you. You know, everyone has their own story and everyone has their own journey. And to be completely honest, like you said, I was kind of on the back end of that, and I knew it too. I was
right.
Sort of, and I was just wearing thin, emotionally and getting drained. And so I think that honestly, the judges made the right decision. And I would agree with you that it wasn't mostly based on the photo. It had a lot of other things going on with it.
You do get a chance to come back though, like the rest of the contestants. So you're still in the hunt to a certain degree.
I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens. They pull everyone into a room afterwards and they do the Men in Black flashy thing, and we just forget. So we're actually watching the show the same as everyone else.
Got you.
I may come back. I may not. I have no idea.
Everybody will have to stay tuned and see. One thing that annoyed me about the judges, and I'm gonna tell you, judging panel, you guys annoyed me by telling. And Tyra annoyed me with this. She said that Denzel should run back and forth in the living room or the kitchen or something to try to lose muscle or something. Like, you're not gonna lose this. Like, what are you talking about? That muscle that this guy is cut and ripped. That muscle is not going anywhere. He's not gonna do a couple of laps around the kitchen counter and lose that. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, that's something that's genetic, and he's in shape.
We didn't have like a gym or like anything to run around in. They were giving him a hard time because he was like eating the same and stuff. But like you said, I mean, I think he was like 190, and he came from playing college football. His weigh-in weight was 225. So he's like the smallest he's ever been by a lot.
Wow, that's a lot of weight.
Denzel is a personal trainer, so he spends time in the gym, and he like knows that how the human body works. And he's like, bro, I can't lose weight like right now. I'm at the lightest I've ever weighed. I'm not like burning any carbs or like calories by running around. We don't have a gym, and like I'm not eating a lot either. And he's like, plus this is like, how much weight can people lose in a 2-month period? You know what I mean? Or like the duration of the show.
Yeah,
he's just pulling like the Biggest Loser and stuff. They're on that show, and they're cutting weight, but it's every day, all day long, and they're also like the heaviest they've ever weighed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot easier for them to cut that weight at where they're at than where he's at.
And they're like exercising and eating differently, and so Denzel was very frustrated about that. By the way, if you talk to him,
Denzel, brush that off your shoulders, bro. Wherever you're at, if you're listening, brush that off your shoulders. Don't worry about that. Don't pay attention to them when it comes to that. Really quick, before we wrap here, where can we find Matthew, and what do you have going on that we can expect to see coming up? Tell us about your clothing line again.
The clothing line is launching. I'm closing some business deals with some big people so I can start mass producing.
Nice.
And I'm going to be able to be a lot more creative with, I'm going to get fabric and actually have print, like super sick prints on them that are going to be sewn into T-shirts. And that should be here in the next months. So No Labels is the slogan. Badasses is the brand. The last time I was there with y'all, you guys got to see one of my jackets. I'm making more of those.
Sweet.
I'm making some denim pants, which I'm stoked about. And then I am going to Canada on the 20th for Canada Fashion Week out there to host some stuff and, just keep on the grind.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully maybe seeing you back. It's going to be a toss-up, I think. There's a lot of talent this episode, or this season, I should say, compared to the past episodes. This, to me, is probably the greatest season that Tyra has had for this show. And, of course, being co-ed obviously caters to that. But it is what it is. I just love the dynamic that you guys have brought to the table. They're going to be talking about you guys for a minute. And you Canadians, you guys look for Matt when he goes up there. Where can we find you on social media, Matt?
My Instagram is the one I use primarily. That is Matthew with 2 T's, Stephen with a PH Smith, so Matthew Stephen Smith. Facebook, Matthew Stephen Smith, and Instagram Twitter is Matthew Smith 303, and the 30 is actually an O, not a 0. So Matthew Smith 303.
And madasses.com is where people can go and see your clothing, right?
Madasses.com. If you follow my social media, you'll be seeing all the new stuff coming up. And get ready for some really cool, awesome gear. And keep an eye out for the jackets as well, guys.
Awesome. We'll be looking forward to it. Well, until next time, After Buzzers, we shall reconvene and cover the next episode. See you.
Buzz on. Buzz on.
Buzz on. Until next time, After Buzzers. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.